Welcome back. If you know where to find diamond willow, good for you. If you're not sure where to find diamond willow, have a look at the first video in this series. This video will give you some tips on how to choose a good diamond willow walking stick. Let's get started.
What's an oak?
Finding diamond willow is very satisfying. I've lived around areas with diamond willow my whole life, and I didn't even know it was there. Choosing a diamond willow as a walking stick is already an excellent choice. Diamond willows are unique from other woods largely because of the distinct dark diamond shapes formed from the willow's interaction with a fungus. Plus, the wood is quite strong, even if the branch is dead. But not every diamond willow will make a good walking stick. I've learned that there are about 4 things to consider when choosing to cut a stick. Number 1, the shape or straightness of the stick. Number 2, the age of the willow. Number 3, the location and amount of diamonds on the stick. And number 4, the environmental impact. I've learned from trial and error what will work best as a walking stick, so hopefully these tips will help you as you go looking for the best stick. Before you cut, it is worth mentioning that you'll need a good folding saw in order to make a clean cut. Either of these work just fine. If you are willow hunting from a vehicle, this will work, but it doesn't go in a backpack very easily. I'd also avoid those multi-tool saws as they are too small and ineffective to do a good job. So there's basically 2 lengths of sticks or styles to consider when choosing a size. You can choose a walking stick, which basically comes up to your waist, about 4 feet high, or a staff that would extend beyond that, so 5 or 6 feet high. When choosing a stick, it's always important to consider that a straight stick makes a better stick in the end. Sometimes you might find really great looking sections of willows that have really cool diamonds in them, but if it twists and bends too much, it won't be much of a hiking stick. It might be a really beautiful artistic piece, but for the purposes of creating an ideal walking stick, you're going to need to find something nice and straight. It's also worth considering the width of this stick, or the thickness. If the stick's too wide, it isn't really a practical walking stick. Again, it might look nice, but it could definitely be something you could put on display, but if it's just too heavy, it's just not practical to be hauling it around with you on a hike. Similarly, if the stick is too thin, it could wobble as you hike, and it might not support a hiker, and it can be kind of annoying not to get the support that you need. So I've found about the right diameter of a good stick is somewhere between 1 inch and 2.5 inches thick at the top, and at the bottom it can be as small as 3/4 of an inch and still support you. So next up is the age. The age and the size of the willow are related because fully green sticks, once you've peeled out all the outer layers of bark, they require time to cure and dry, and sometimes during that process they start curling and twisting even further. So for that reason, anytime I pick a green stick, I always choose one that is as straight as possible. Thin green sticks tend to curl more than thick ones, whereas thick ones sometimes split after they cure. So sometimes you just have to take your chances. Always remember when choosing a green stick that you'll need to give it several months before it is ready to be sanded and finished. I recommend at least 2 months if the stick was stripped in early spring or fall, and probably longer if it was picked with growing leaves on it. It'll be very wet. One of the most incredible features of diamond willows is how resilient they are. So I've found dozens of willows that have green sections living side by side with dead sections. These make probably the most beautiful sticks if you can find the right combination. The other amazing thing about willows is that often the dead sticks make some of the best willows I've ever discovered. Dead sticks can also be stripped, sanded, and finished right away, so it doesn't hurt to keep your eyes open for willows on the ground or still standing that are dead. It'll give you something to carve while you're waiting for your live sticks to cure. Diamond placement and number. Consider this. Where will the person's hands go? Most people would prefer their hands at 90 degrees or slightly higher. And there should be a natural location for your hands to go on the stick that is either free of any diamonds, especially if they're really, beautiful ones that you want people to see, or if it's like a natural handle or grip on the stick. It's also important to consider that on almost any stick, especially if you're making a staff, there should be an interesting feature near the top of the stick rather than in the middle or at the bottom. It's good to remind you here that the tops of walking sticks and staffs are often, or almost always, the bottoms of the willow, or like the opposite of how the willow grows. Also, good diamond willow walking sticks have at least one diamond in them. Excellent or rare diamond willow walking sticks are filled with diamonds. So take your time. If you always cut like the first diamond willow that you find, you're probably going to miss out on some pretty amazing sticks, and you end up making a lot more work for yourself. The last thing to consider here is the environmental impact. The good news is that diamond willow is really resilient and it replaces itself rapidly. But consider this question when you cut. Will the removal of this stick add to or take away from the location where you found it? An example is like a nest. If there's a nest growing in this patch of willows, when you take those willows out, it's going to affect the nest and possibly the bird populations there. This particular one beside me is a pretty small one. It's got some really interesting little twists and diamonds in it, but it's just not big enough to really sustain long-term growth. But there are some cool things happening. So it has been trimmed before, and when you look closely at it, you can see down at the bottom there's growth coming in. There's quite a bit actually. So the trimming you can see here and in other places around it has helped to encourage long-term growth here. So that would be one that I would leave. I wouldn't really look for willows there. So there's a couple in this bunch here that have caught my attention. Just want to point them out. So the one that I'm considering is kind of deep in here. It's this guy right here. Okay, and if you look in close, you'll see it's got a nice little diamond there. It looks fairly straight. Follow it up. So to me, that's a pretty good specimen for a walking stick. A nice diamond at the top with some straightness there. But I want to make sure, I don't want to just pick the first one that I like just because, hey, maybe that's a good one. This one here, for example, I've got a nice diamond down here, and it's got this really interesting twisted shape. It's kind of twisted and gnarled around various branches. It looks like some of it might even be dead, and that's another good consideration for a stick. And then there's one more in here. Can I find it? It's this guy right here. Got a nice dead branch down here. Sometimes those dead ones look better than the live ones. Okay, it looks fairly straight. Now because this one's dead, this would be one that I would cut first and check and see. Just because it's dead, it's not going to harm anything by taking away dead debris from this willow. I'm pretty happy with this one. It's got a really nice set of kind of twisted diamonds in there. That has a lot of potential. Got a great face there, so a really great top to it. I did cut off some green branches, which tells me there's some growth, a little bit of growth in this stick, but it's mostly dead. So it's going to be already light and it'll cure quickly, meaning I can start carving this one right away. I ended up deciding that I was going to go ahead with the really twisty one. It looks like it's got a lot of great potential, lots of cool diamonds all throughout. The one a little bit buried back has a nice top, and the rest of it's really straight. So I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to take the one that seems to be a little bit dead, but it has got some green growth growing in it. That might be the perfect one. I'm actually going to take it a little bit past where the diamonds are, and that allows me to trim it later. So, some pretty cool things you can see. One of the cool things is, you look at the bottom of that, it has a very dark heartwood on the center. On the outside, it's a lighter wood. And that tells me there's some growth happening here. That's a good sign. This could be a beautiful stick later on. But I won't know until I strip it and see what's on the inside. So I'm going to knock off some of the smaller branches on the outside. Yeah, mostly dead. Oh, here's a green one right here. Okay. Well, that's good. And I can see some green bark right here. So, pretty encouraging. That means I made a good choice. Ooh, and I really like the top of this. I'll show you in a second. But there's kind of a twist in it. Okay, and that tells me it's gonna be a good stick. So that handle goes right in that little scoop there. This has lots of potential for a great stick. Not a lot of diamonds on it. I thought there'd be more, but that's okay. It doesn't have to have tons and tons of diamonds to be a good stick. So there you go. Hopefully these tips will help you to get started. In the next video, I'll talk about stripping the bark and carving, and we'll have a look at the tools that will make things easier. We'll see you then. I'm all blurry. Hi. Follow me. Yeah. Whatever.